What if tomorrow is quietly testing you? Mosy and horizons. There's a moment every morning, right before the eyes fully open, when the world has not yet reminded you of anything. For 1 or 2 seconds, there's no name, no wait, no unfinished conversation waiting in another room. And then it returns. The same problem that was there yesterday is still there. The same silence from someone you needed to hear from has not been broken. The same question you asked with your whole chest into the dark, into a prayer, into an empty page, still has no answer written beneath it. You open your eyes fully now, and today looks almost exactly like yesterday, wearing a different date. It is tempting in that moment to believe that nothing is happening, that the days are simply repeating themselves, indifferent like a corridor with identical doors on both sides. And you are walking through it without ever finding the one door that opens. But maybe that is not quite what is happening. Maybe there is something else standing just behind today, watching quietly, taking note of things today itself cannot notice. Not judging, not polishing, just watching. And maybe that something is tomorrow. There is something almost cinematic about this idea. If you allow yourself to picture it somewhere just beyond the reach of today, a figure stands in the dark, not speaking, simply observing the way a person moves through their own difficulty, not to judge the stumbling, not to keep score of the falling, only to notice carefully what the person does after they fall, whether they get up quietly and keep walking, or whether they let the fall convince them that walking was never worth it in the first place. That figure has no interest in rushing the story forward because it is ready. It seems to understand something today often forgets, that the story revealed too early loses its meaning, and that some chapters need the reader to sit a while longer and then not knowing before the next page will make any sense at all. We tend to speak of tomorrow as if it were only a measurement of time, a square on a calendar, a number that increases by one. But there is another way to think of it. Tomorrow can be thought of as a witness, a patient, unhurried witness that does not reveal itself before it is ready, and does not explain itself while the test is still in progress. It watches how you carry a weight nobody else can see you carrying. It watches what you do with silence, whether you fill it with bitterness or with steadiness. It watches whether you keep showing up to your own life, even when your own life has stopped applauding for you for it. And only after it has seen enough, only after the picture is complete, does it decide what to reveal next. This is a strange kind of relationship, the one between a person and their tomorrow. We speak to it constantly, even without words. Every time we make an effort we do not yet see rewarded, we are speaking to tomorrow. Every time we are patient with someone who misunderstood us, every time we hold our tongue instead of proving a point that costs more than it is worth, every time we get up from a place we fell in, we are handing tomorrow evidence of who we are becoming. And tomorrow, for reasons we may never fully understand, does not always answer immediately. It lets the evidence accumulate first. Think of the pain that feels unfair, because so much of it does. There's a particular kind of ache that comes from doing things correctly and still watching them collapse, from loving people honestly and still being misread by them, from closing a door gently and having someone say you slammed it, from working quietly towards something and having no one notice the years it took to arrive at a single afternoon. This is not a punishment for failing at life. Very often it is simply what living looks like from the inside, before the outside has caught up. The unfairness is real. It does not need to be explained away or wrapped in a bow to be bearable. But even inside that unfairness, something is still moving, even if it is moving where no one can see it. There is a particular kind of silence that exists between the effort we put in, the requests we quietly make of the universe or of a higher order of things, and the results that eventually arrive. That silence can feel like abandonment. It can feel like being asked a question and receiving, and returning nothing has but the sound of your own breathing. But silence is not always absence. A field does not make noise while the seed is growing beneath it. The ground looks the same in February as it did in December, and yet something underground has already begun to shift, cell by cell, in the language the surface does not speak yet. Perhaps the space between asking and receiving is not empty. Perhaps it is simply underground. This is admittedly difficult to trust because trust asks for something almost unreasonable. To keep believing in change you cannot yet measure. The fear that nothing is changing is one of the heaviest fears a person can carry. Heavier in some ways than the original pain itself, because it adds the second question on the top of the first. Not only why is this happening to me, but what if this never stops happening to me? And in the middle of that fear, it becomes very hard to notice the other possibility sitting quietly beside it. The possibility that growth is not always visible while it is occurring. A person does not watch their own bones lengthen. A person does not feel their own character being reshaped in real time. Both happen while attention is turned elsewhere, usually toward the very difficulty that is doing the reshaping. This is perhaps the part today cannot see, and tomorrow can. Today only has access to what is immediately in front of it. The closed door, the unanswered message, the ache that has lasted longer than it should have. Today is standing too close to the picture to see its shape. Tomorrow has the advantage of distance. Tomorrow can see the version of you that existed a year ago and can quietly compare it to the version of you sitting here now, and can notice things that would surprise you if you were said aloud. If they were said aloud, that you no longer panic the way you used to, that you have learned to sit with the discomfort instead of running from it, that you have started forgiving people faster, including yourself, even if you have not yet noticed you were doing it. Tomorrow sees the slow work. Today only sees the unfinished result. Maybe this is the real nature of the test, if it can be called a test at all. Not an obstacle course designed to trip you, and not a punishment measured out of for some hidden fault. Something closer to a kind of quiet excavation. Difficulty does not usually create character from nothing. It tends to reveal what was already here, there, buried under comfort, under routine, under the version of a person that only exists. When life is easy, heavy seasons have an odd way of clearing away what was decorative and leaving only what is structural. What survives a hard season is rarely the confidence of someone performing in public. What survives is something quieter, the willingness to keep going, even without proof, the refusal to become cruel, simply because life has been unkind. The discipline of continuing to show up to responsibilities, to people, to small daily promises, even when no one is watching and no reward is visible on the horizon. There is a kind of strength that never gets photographed, because it does not look dramatic from the outside. It looks like someone making their bed on a morning when they did not want to get up. It looks like someone answering a difficult message with patience instead of the sharper words that would have felt satisfying for a moment. It looks like someone continuing to work carefully on something even after the applause has stopped or never arrived at all. This is survival in its quiet form, and it deserves more respect than it usually receives. Because survival is often mistaken for simply getting through, when in truth, it is an ongoing act of construction. Every day survives with dignity intact is a brick placed somewhere tomorrow can see, even if today cannot. I'm going to split this text in two parts. We will continue with the next part in another video. I'll name them correctly.